Hi, students. The purpose of this presentation, called Learning to Program, is to give you some, I hope, helpful suggestions on how to do your programming assignments. It might be good if I taught you something that we call pseudocoding. And so that's what this is about. So let me go ahead and proceed. So what is programming? It's taking a problem description and coming up with a solution to the problem in a way a computer can solve the problem. It involves reading and comprehension. Um, it involves building problem solving skills. Involves sequential logic, sort of, if then this followed by this, a sequential logic approach, because that's how computers work. And then it involves knowing a language that the computer can understand. Here's the challenge. That involves many things and is much more than just learning the rules of a language, what we've come to call syntax. It's much more than just learning the syntax of the language, though you do, of course, have to learn the syntax of the language. The biggest challenges are, number one, it requires perfection. As you have learned, come to find out, a program with even the simplest of errors, like a misspelling of a name or leaving out a semicolon, will simply not run, and you get no results. Number two, reading is becoming a lost art, I believe, among students. You have to develop the ability to read and comprehend. Learning the specifics of a given language, given programming language, is also a challenge. Of course, you can bring Google to your rescue. It can help you find lots of program examples. How to learn. Practice reading problem descriptions. The more of them you read, the better you'll get at reading them. Take notes about what you read. If it's in printed form, write down, circle, underline. If it's in electronic form, then I would encourage you to either bring up like a notepad or a piece of paper and jot down notes of the highlights of what you're reading. Talk with other students about the program assignment. This is not cheating. Talking to your fellow classmates is probably one of the best things you can do to help each other understand a problem. The challenge is how to talk and share thoughts with someone else without sharing language-specific code, like giving them Java or C++ or Python. And the answer, as we are going to see, is known as pseudocode. It's been around for years, been used by millions of programmers, and it's a very useful tool that I'd like to show you about. So what is pseudocode? It's a way to discuss program solutions without the details of a programming language. In other words, you don't use any Java or C++ code. Here's what the Wikipedia defines it as. Pseudocode is an informal, high-level description of the operating principle of a computer program or other algorithm. It uses the structural conventions of a normal procedural language, but is intended for human reading rather than machine reading. Pseudocode typically omits details that are essential for machine understanding of the algorithm, such as variable declarations, system-specific code, and some subroutines. Using pseudocode, if you would like to discuss program assignments with your fellow classmates, something that I highly recommend, I suggest doing so with pseudocode. I give you some links here, one to an online example where they just give a problem description and then give the pseudocode to solve that problem. And then here's an excellent, about a 9 to 10 minute video that I think you'll find very, very helpful. Conclusion, discussing how to solve a programming assignment with others is fine and encouraged. I repeat, I'm all for you talking to each other about the program assignments that I give. Sharing specific programming language lines of code is cheating and violates academic honesty code of the university. So do not talk to each other about programming assignments using code, okay, other than pseudocode. Think of it this way. Someday, most of you hope to get paid to write computer programs. That's a good thing, and I'm here to help you achieve that goal. That employer will likely encourage you to work on teams to solve really hard problems, much harder than anything that you'll do in school. But they will expect you to be able to write code, to be able to write your share of the code and everyone else to write theirs. In other words, if they hire 5 people, they expect to get 5 times the productivity. And if you're used to having somebody else help you write the code, then you're not going to be very productive. Now is the time for you to learn how to write that code on your own. So finally, think with others, but code alone. So if you'll keep that in mind, I think that will help you on your programming assignments for this and your future computer science courses.